Today's video has been sponsored by Another Eden. "2021 was a stellar year for JRPGs, bringing us games like Tales of Arise, Shin Megami Tensei V, Neo Twiwi, and so many other banger titles. It was easily one of the best years for JRPGs in a while, and now we are headed into a brand new year, 2022. A year that is likely to be filled with even more incredible characters, stories, and adventures. These are my top 10 picks for the most anticipated, new and upcoming JRPGs for 2022. But first, a word from our sponsor. How many of you remember classic JRPG Chrono Cross growing up? It's a game hailed by critics as among the greatest video games of all time. Well, now Chrono Cross is having a crossover event with hit mobile title Another Eden. This crossover is dubbed Complex Dream and is even written by Masato Kato, the story writer for both the Chrono series and Another Eden. Now, if you love Chrono Cross, and I mean love Chrono Cross, I am positive you adore its music score, written by the legendary Yasunori Mitsuda, who is also overseeing all of the wonderful music here. You can relive unique chrono mechanics, including New Game Plus, multiple endings, and more. Experience console-grade immersive storytelling, soundtrack with live instrumentation, detailed character illustrations, and world building. If all those things sound appealing to you, then you could say it's about time you check out Another Eden and the Complex Dream crossover event. So be sure to check the link in the description below. Number 10, Star Ocean Divine Force. I'm gonna be honest with you, after both abysmal sales and abysmal reviews of Star Ocean 5, I thought this franchise was dead. Coupled with the mobile game being shut down, things were not looking too hot for fans of the series. By some miracle, this franchise is continuing. This title promises to make a number of improvements to the franchise's formula, like seamless battles and improved exploration. Now, if only they could fix whatever is going on with these character models, cause they look kinda ugly. Then it might look like the revival of the Star Ocean franchise is upon us. Look forward to Star Ocean Divine Force for Xbox One, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and Steam. Number 9, Triangle Strategy. Project Rectangle Tactics is a pretty goofy name. What is not goofy, however, is this game's content. The developers behind Octopath Traveler once again managed to flex their incredible HD 2D style. Fans of tactical RPGs rejoice as this game looks to be some of the best the genre has to offer. The game has a branching story depending on your choices, which can see entirely different scenarios play out in the game, and allow you to reach one of the game's multiple endings. If you love Fire Emblem or Final Fantasy Tactics, and want a game where your choices actually matter, then you're going to want to check out Triangle Strategy. Be sure to do so when it launches in 2022 exclusively for Nintendo Switch. Number 8, Pokemon Legends Arceus. What if modern Pokemon games were still good? If they were, they'd be Shin Megami Tensei V. But ever since I was a kid, I dreamed of an open-world Pokemon game with console-quality graphics. While we did get some games that attempted this, I always wanted something that felt like a mainline Pokemon game with this modern take. Game Freak and Nintendo have finally done that. Maybe. Hard maybe. With Pokemon Legends Arceus, a game which is finally attempting to deliver the type of Pokemon game that fans have desperately wanted to see. Aside from a Pokemon MMO, of course. This is the most interested I've been in a Pokemon game in over a decade, so that should tell you just how much more appealing this game is, and hopefully they'll be able to actually deliver. Look forward to Pokemon Legends when it launches January 28th, 2022, exclusively for Nintendo Switch. Number 7, The Legend of Heroes Kuro no Kiseki. What Falcom does with Trails of Cold Steel's massive narrative is simply impressive. Kuro no Kiseki, or Trails in the Dark, is the latest game in the Trails series, which steps up the game's graphical fidelity quite a lot. It's also the first in the series to make the leap to action combat. But turn-based purists need not run away, as you can also switch the game into a turn turn-based mode, allowing you to have both an action game and a turn-based game all rolled in one. Talk about replayability. Kuro no Kiseki, or Trails in the Dark, also promises to be a darker title. I mean, it's literally in the name. While there is no confirmation for a 2022 release date, I'm no stranger to wearing a clown suit. However, the game currently is out in Japan, and it only makes sense that a localization should be following sometime this year. Maybe. I mean, it's Falcom, who the hell knows. But until then, look forward to Kuro no Kiseki when it launches on PlayStation 4 and 5, eventually. Number 6, Forspoken. It's exceedingly rare to have an RPG entirely built around mage gameplay, instead of some variety of sword user, and that's one of the major appeals of Forspoken. It's also an isekai for some reason. You take the role of Frey and you're able to quickly zip through a massive and beautiful world. This game, which was created by the Final Fantasy XV team, also reutilizes its technology, that being Luminous Engine. From what we can glean of this game thus far, this is Luminous Engine being used to its absolute finest, doing the game justice. And to me, the idea of Final Fantasy XV's team having their redemption arc and not being burdened by the long and strenuous development cycle that was Final Fantasy Versus 13. Look forward to Forspoken when it launches on PC and PlayStation 5 on May 24th, 2022. Number 5, Granblue Fantasy Relink. Look, I'm gonna be honest, I don't even think this game is even real, but they just announced the release window for this game, and honestly, considering this game's development history, who the believes that? That being said, this game has a captivating visual style, and impressive action combat, and also a massive, beautiful world. This JRPG looks absolutely mind-blowing, and hopefully it'll be able to live up to the hype of its long development cycle. Look forward to Granblue Fantasy Relink when it launches worldwide on PlayStation 4 and 5 sometime in 2022. Number 4, Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. I've been doing these top 10 JRPG lists for years, and this is the first time I've ever properly ranked a mobile game, as typically this list is reserved for console and PC games. However, Ever Crisis is different, attempting to retell and preserve the entirety of the compilation of FF7, as well as the original game itself. Ever Crisis is one of the most ambitious mobile titles we've seen from Square, using a split art style between its field maps and battle maps, which reuse Final Fantasy VII Remake assets. The game looks insanely impressive for a mobile title. For everyone looking to relive their emo days through Dirge of Cerberus and Advent Children, they have a lot to look forward to here, as well as people simply wanting to know the original story with updated graphics, as the main remake is apparently a sequel, or a requel, or a reboot, or a reimagining. I mean, it's something, and every two people seem to have a different answer on what it is. However, what can be said is that it will diverge from the original in some regard, and so it's best that you at least know the original story. In either case, look forward to Ever Crisis on a to-be-determined release date in 2022 for iOS and Android. Number 3, Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin. I'm gonna be honest with you, this game ranking at number 3 is hilarious. Yes, the character designs are less than mid, as are the graphics, and the storytelling does kind of reek of mediocrity. However, what cannot be denied is that Team Ninja, the developers behind the Neo series, have done it again, in creating an incredibly solid, engaging Final Fantasy Souls-like game. Choosing between a variety of different jobs, being able to join up with the fellas and engage in cooperative multiplayer, fun and challenging fights coupled with tight level design, all make for an incredible core experience, even if the other stuff is kinda unapologetically dumb, in a somewhat charming way. Look forward to punching chaos in the face when Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin launches on March 18th for PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, and PC. Number 2, Elden Ring. So this game I would recommend over to Stranger of Paradise to normal people without the FF bias. Arceus. After a long wait and a long amount of silence, this game has finally emerged from the depths of development purgatory. When it was finally revealed, it got an absolutely stellar trailer, and everything that we've seen of it thus far has been pretty mind-blowing. This game looks to be From Software's most impressive game yet. The beautiful yet dreary graphical style and its visceral combat might leave a great impression on you, but there's more going on behind the scenes. Novelist George R.R. Martin, best known for his series Game of Thrones, will be writing this one, ensuring an incredibly epic story. Look forward to the release of Elden Ring on Xbox and PlayStation, current and last gen, and PC when it launches on February 25th, 2022. Number 1, Final Fantasy XVI. Okay, maybe this one is just wishful thinking. Alright, who are we kidding? This is definitely wishful thinking. Final Fantasy XVI, while not technically confirmed for this year, there is still a lot of evidence that suggests the game is much further into development and coming sooner than we think. The game has been in development for 5 years, and Naoki Yoshida, the game's producer, has more or less said that the game only has a few quality improvements left. Suffice it to say, Final Fantasy XVI is close. This game is made by Creative Business Unit 3, composed of many of the same minds behind Final Fantasy XIV. Combat is also being handled by Ryota Suzuki, the same man behind the combat of Dragon's Dogma and Devil May Cry 5. The pedigree for this game is high, and if this game is what fans are hoping for, a Final Fantasy XIV style story, told in a single-player game with action combat, it might just be one of the strongest entries in one of gaming's strongest franchises. Look out for Final Fantasy XVI, maybe, in 2022, exclusively for PlayStation 5. But these are just my most anticipated JRPGs. Subscribe, click the bell icon, and let me know yours in the comments below. And be sure to check out Another Eden, with the link in the description below.